Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You can see that we're now live. Hello, Shashank. How are you?
Hey, hi, Lewis. All good.
All good, all good, all good. Yeah, we're just going to start out just by giving a little bit of an introduction. I'll wait for a couple more people to start piling in. But yeah, today's webinar is just about Amazon's UK launch guide. So I'm Lewis. I'm one of our representatives from Avask. We've got Shashank on as well from Shipment. And today we're going to be talking about mastering logistics and VAT and our new collaboration together with Shipment and Avask and how we can help sellers expanding internationally, specifically moving from the US into the UK, what that means in terms of logistics, what that means in terms of VAT, compliance, import, customs, all of that stuff. They're all very scary words, but we just want to make sure that it is as simple and it's easy and as streamlined as possible. And then at the end of this as well, we'll also be running a Q&A session whereby you can sit down, ask some questions, and we will go through and answer them. And this will also be recorded as well, so it will be sent out to everybody who requires a link or everybody who wants to watch this back at a later date. So yeah, without further ado, Shashank, over to you. Is there anything that you wanted to mention in terms of an introduction? Anything that you wanted to bring up?
No, all good. Let's head into the agenda, and then I can take over.
Let's get right into it. Okay. So as I say, I'm Lewis Sweeting, and we've got Shashank Pant on here as well, who's one of the co-founders from Shipment, and we've also got Meenakshi Rajpal, one of the account managers at Amazon. Meenakshi, do you want to shout yourself out or say hello?
Hello, everyone. Hi. So, me and Bala will take you through any questions from Amazon, and we are happy to support you throughout this expansion journey.
Happy to have you. Thank you very much. And just to give you a very top level overview of what we're going to be covering today. So you can see on the screen here, this is the agenda. So as I say, we've kind of already been through this, but the overview to start with, we're going to quickly move on to Shipment and their solutions. And then thirdly, we'll be then dealing with Avask, which is my area of expertise, and our solutions and how we can help streamline your international trade and your international expansion. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to finish out with a Q&A session whereby anything that you've got that you think of during this presentation, you can fire your questions away into the chat box function, and then we will be able to deal with those for you. And Amazon will be able to handle all of your questions that are very Amazon related as well. So yeah, let's move straight on to Shipment. Shashank, take it away. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lewis. Hi, everyone. I'll walk you through a brief introduction of Shipment and our solutions. So Shipment is a digital freight forwarder that aims to simplify global trade. Lewis, if you could help me move the slide.
Move the slide. Yeah, just give me a nudge. Just say my name and I'll fire it along every time you want.
Thank you. So Amazon, Avask, and Shipment have come together to help US-based Amazon sellers to sell seamlessly on Amazon UK marketplace. A three-way partnership enables and solves the most critical problem for US sellers expanding globally to the UK with respect to solving for their compliance problem, logistics problem, through a very innovative product that three entities have come together to create in solving the problem. So we believe that ocean shipping is the most cost-effective mode of shipping across borders. Of course, it is also significantly complicated, and that's where the three entities have come together to solve this particular problem through our consolidation product. What we intend to do here is that consolidate multiple Amazon seller inventory and shipments into our New Jersey warehouse. We consolidate all your products into a single or multiple 40 feet ocean containers, and we move it as a single shipment from the US into the UK and deliver it to a single Amazon warehouse. What this ends up doing is that it reduces your shipping cost significantly without hampering the experience, because our container only has Amazon cargo and is directly shipped to the Amazon UK fulfillment centers. And this is where I believe Avask adds value in terms of managing your export and import compliance with a partnership with Shipment that manages your transportation. And from your perspective as a seller, you see a seamless door-to-door shipping solution. That's the product that we've built. Love to share the pricing here. So if you see that we've simplified the pricing for the sellers to understand. So for example, these are our June rates in terms of the transportation rates. We've broken down the shipment into different CBM based on the volume that a seller may want to ship to the UK. We've simplified the pricing into a simple single port-to-door pricing. And for example, for a 10 CBM shipment, the seller just has to pay $179 per CBM for the port-to-door shipment, which excludes, of course, the Avask's pricing for clearances, which I believe Avask will share. But what we're trying to do here is bring transparency in the supply chain, make sure that sellers do not feel complicated or overwhelmed by the number of line items that they see in a typical transportation invoice. So we've simplified it. So these are our pricing. This is our pricing, and if you see, we've consciously added a column for the per LB price because typically a lot of the sellers in the US leverage air as a mode to ship to the UK. Typically, air costs anywhere between $4.5, $5 per LBS. So if you see, there's a significant advantage in terms of cost saving if sellers choose to ship via ocean. And of course, our transit times are between 25 to 30 odd days. So if sellers are able to plan in advance, they'll definitely see a lot of price advantage, which they can pass on to customers and drive their sales. So I'll quickly just give you a run through about Shipment. As I said, we're a freight forwarder. We're actually ex-Amazonians who've come together to launch Shipment as a digital freight forwarder. So we come with a lot of experience in understanding and working within the Amazon ecosystem, understanding sellers, their concerns, their challenges, especially when it comes to cross-border or global selling. And that's the genesis of Shipment. So we're an Amazon certified partner. We're an SPN partner. We're also part of Amazon Global Selling Send program, which is a cross-border transportation program run across multiple other trade lanes such as India to US, UK to US, Germany to US. And now we're partnering with Amazon to launch the US exports trade lane as well. So very quickly, like the value add that we bring to the table, we offer end-to-end solutions. We offer door-to-door shipping solutions from anywhere in the US to an Amazon FC in the UK. We have pretty strong partnerships with direct asset owners and ocean liners to get the best possible rates. We have direct or real-time customer service, ease of tracking. We have our own tech platform. I'll just show you in the next couple of slides where customers or sellers can have a live view of where the shipment is at any point in time through a single dashboard. So typical customers that we serve any B2B importer or exporter. We also serve marketplaces such as Amazon. As I said, I think our value add is competitive and transparent pricing, end-to-end tracking, API integration. We also customize our supply chain. I think that's one of the reasons why we were able to partner with Avask and Amazon to come together and build this solution. As I mentioned, these are all active trade lanes that we operate in at this point in time. We're operational across all major continents, North America, Europe, and Asia. We also operate as our sellers' Chinese agent. I think a lot of sellers do import from China into the US, so we offer that service as well, in addition to freight forwarding.
Okay.
This slide details all our certifications. We're an FMC registered ocean carrier. We also have our IATA licenses. As I said, these are all the asset owners that we contract with and operate with in terms of our business operations. Cool. So as I said, I think like to summarize, I think the problems that we typically solve for are lack of shipment visibility, unpredicted delivery timelines, opaque pricing, lack of customer service. I think these are all challenges that are prevalent, especially when it comes to cross-border shipment movements. I think these are the problems that Shipment aims to solve for. And Louis, if you could be kind enough to move to the next slide. There are two ways with which we solve the problem. One is by building very strong and customized supply chain solutions. So we do full containers, partial shipments. We do trucking, drayage, warehousing. That's from a supply chain perspective. The next slide, Louis will talk about how we use technology to accentuate and deliver these solutions through our customer-facing platform where customers can get quoted real time. They can manage their documentations. They're able to track their containers or shipments in real time. They get active customer support, manage invoicing through a single interface. So I think this is what we've built through a dedicated control tower to address and deliver our solutions to our customers. Yeah. So yeah, this also talks about our control tower on how we internally manage or leverage technology to deliver a very seamless customer experience or a seller experience of our solutions. Wanted to quickly run through 3 case studies where we were able to add value to our sellers. As I said, I think the ocean consolidation is a product that we launched in other countries such as India, UK, and Germany into the US. I think added a lot of value to our sellers, where we were able to reduce their per CBM costs by over 25%. I think that's the aim with which Avast, Shipment, and Amazon is operating, to make sure that even for US based sellers who are looking to export, we're able to drive those cost efficiencies. We've actually been able to, I mean, the second case study talks about how we help save close to $300,000 in compliance for a particular Amazon seller who was shipping into the US and realized that they needed some labeling work for their products to maintain compliance. Otherwise, their entire shipment would get rejected by the US customs as well as Amazon. So we were able to address and help our sellers in doing dedicated labeling work at our New Jersey facility and help them save almost $300,000.
That's amazing.
The third case study is again for a Florida-based importer, where we were able to cut down their transit time by 6 days and 20% in terms of cost reductions. When they were facing certain delays, we kind of optimized the supply chain to make sure that they delivered the container to the right port, which reduced their SLA in terms and also cost. So I think a lot of consultative support is what we bring onto the table and help sellers not just address their transportation problem, but guide them and maybe work together to see how best we can save costs and basically operate as an extension of their operations team. I think that's how we're operating here. So yeah, these are 3 case studies that we just wanted to share with you guys.
Very nice.
Awesome. So I think summarizing, I think we have 1,000+ customers. We've over the last year and a half or so moved almost $50 million of cargo. We have over 50% repeat rate in terms of our customers. These are a few voice of sellers that we wanted to share. We do have positive voice of sellers, of course. We do have areas of improvement, and our goal is, of course, to continuously get feedback from our sellers to see where we can tweak our processes, we improve, and that's an iterative process, and that's how we collaborate with sellers to make sure that we're operating as a team and eventually delivering value to them by lowering their costs and delivering shipments on time.
Anything else to add?
Yeah, so we're good. So thank you so much, and thanks, Lewis, for helping me out here.
That's all right. Yeah. Well, it's one of those things, isn't it, with technology? Sometimes you have to make little workarounds like this for it to all work smoothly. So no, I'm good. I'm glad that worked out for you. But yeah, I think that the reason that this is so interesting, and I'm sorry I kept butting in there a couple of times saying like, oh, amazing, and things like that. But the reason for that is because we get so many sellers that talk to us about their shipments being blocked at customs, and maybe it is a labeling compliance, or maybe they've been misguided by an account manager that they've potentially been speaking to. So there's all sorts of different things that we need to make sure that people are aware of. Shipping is obviously one key part. Which route should they take? How should they get the products from one country to the next? But also it's being aware with the different compliance rules and the different tax rules that you've got in each country. And when you're moving goods, especially from the US, which is very much focused on deregulation, or moving them from India, where the tax rules are very different to what they are in the UK and the EU, who are notoriously very strict when it comes with taxes and regulations and things like that. It's definitely worthwhile being aware of the different registrations that you might need before you start to move your goods from one country to the next, because as you outlined, Shashank, there's a lot of issues where sellers end up with either their goods stuck at customs, or maybe once they are in the country, it's difficult for them to sell them because they're not labeled correctly, or some other compliance issue. So I think what's important about this collaboration effort is that you at Shipment provide a solution for people in terms of being able to move the goods, and we can help with the the registration, the tax, the compliance side of things. So I'll move straight into this, and hopefully everybody will understand a little bit more about what I'm talking about. But yeah, from a very zoomed out macro perspective, there's three main things that you need to be aware of when you are moving your goods into the UK. So the first one being VAT, so that's value added tax. Wherever you store your goods, you're going to need a VAT number. Compliance would be the second thing. So after you've registered for the VAT and after the VAT number is live, you'll then need to continue to do your filings within the UK. And you'll also need to make sure that your products are up to scratch in terms of UK safety, environmental and labelling standards. And then third will be customs as well. So here at Avast, we can help manage your imports and exports for smooth customs clearance. So we can help with obtaining an EORI number, which is what you need to get the goods through customs in the first place, and just make sure that your shipments don't get stopped. So let's move on to getting VAT ready. So when you're thinking about your initial shipment to the UK, you need to consider if you're VAT registered or not. Like I said, you will need to register for UK VAT if you intend to store your goods there. So if you want to use any of the Amazon FBA warehouses within the UK, you will need to register for UK VAT. And if you're moving your goods between the US and the UK, you then must follow UK customs regulations, which is doing an import and export declaration. You must get a UK EORI number. So when you apply for a VAT number through Avast, we will do this for you free of charge. And then you've also got to pay any applicable tariffs, which come under like the UK Global Tariff Act as well. It's very much the same if you're not UK VAT registered. Obviously start that process. If you are already, then you've done one thing, which is great, but you still need to do the other steps as well before you move any shipments into the United Kingdom. Okay, terms of registration and requirements. So the duration of the VAT reg, it does vary depending on how busy the UK tax office is. I can say that at the moment it's about 6 to 8 weeks. So if you wanted to make sure that your goods are in the UK by the 1st of September, for example, as we're starting to move later on into the year, I can't personally believe that it's the 12th of June already. I'm just at a shock at how fast 2025 has gone. But if you want to start to get registered for the upcoming busy season, you know, with Q4, with Black Friday, with Christmas on the horizon as well, you know, you need to start thinking about these things and start planning in advance for moving your goods into the country. So at the moment, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks to get a UK VAT number. And the documents that you will require to begin this process, they are pretty straightforward, to be honest. It's a lot of, if you've done this process before at all, then these will be very familiar documents for you, but they'll often just be the incorporation documents for the company, passport, a proof of address, and then we will also have an application form as well. So you also might need some receipts of the goods that you've purchased, or an agreement with either a 3PL partner or with Amazon to prove that you're going to move your goods over there. And then also, if you are moving your goods specifically through shipment as well, then you might also need an agreement with your shipping company too. So get in touch with us and then we can give you all of the specific requirements, but these are just some general ones that you may need. And again, just as Shashank did, some of the fees for this, we've got 2 different levels of service in terms of the VAT and compliance. So we do self-serve, whereby that's kind of like a light subscription, so a more basic subscription. So on that, it's 150 euros for the UK registration and then 25 euros per month to do the filings. Both of these will include the EORI number for free as well for your imports. And then on premium, it's 180 euros for the registration and then the monthly compliance fee at 95 euros. Now, the big difference between those two is that self-serve is exactly what it says on the tin. You yourself would be doing the filings. So we will give you basic access to our software, and then you will submit all of your sales reports into that and generate the formatting to then send to the tax authorities. On premium, all you do is you just drag and drop all of your information into your client portal. You send that either to your designated tax consultant. They will then do the formatting for you, and then they will send the reports off to the tax authorities at the time that you need to do it for. So in Premium, everything is pretty much handled for you, whereas self-serve, you are serving yourself. So keep that in mind when we go through these things. And I've got 2 laptops up and 2 mouses, and I keep missing which slide I'm on from one to the next. So apologies. Now, in terms of obtaining your EORI number, the EORI stands for Economic Operators Registration and Identification. Again, super simple. You'll need this for your imports. So any business who is importing goods into Great Britain will need to register for an EORI number so that they can do their customs declarations or decisions. So it basically just tracks where your shipment is at. And then we will do the application for you for the EORI number, and we'll submit that through the government, through HMRC's website. So if you're UK VAT registered, then your EORI number will link to your VAT number as well. They're often the same number, but just with a couple of zeros on the end. There we go. There is also this really great thing that we have in the UK called postponed VAT accounting. So if nobody has heard of that before, it basically just means that any business who is registered within the UK and has a UK VAT number will, they can basically defer the import payments. So when you're moving goods into the UK, you will often have to pay import VAT, but then you're also paying sales VAT when you sell the products. So what PVA says is that because you're moving the goods into the country and then you're selling them within the country, you then don't have to pay the import VAT because the goods will be sold in the UK as well. So the two kind of cancel one another out. So if you wish to use the PVA scheme, and I'm sure, again, Shashank, you might have some experience with this, but some of the clients that you will get will obviously be getting in touch with you and saying, look, Shashank, I've got my UK VAT. I need to apply for this PVA scheme. So when you guys are submitting the imports, when you're submitting the declarations, if you just inform that, it's going to be done by the PVA scheme, it means that any of your clients are then not going to have to pay that import VAT, because sometimes the VAT reclaim process can take, it will go on to the next quarterly filings. So import VAT in the UK is 20%. So if you're shipping really large sums of goods into the United Kingdom, you don't want to pay that extra 20% if you don't have to then reclaim it. It just makes it a lot easier in terms of a cash flow perspective to just pay the sales VAT on those products once they're already sold. Make sense?
No, absolutely. I think this is quite interesting and will add a lot of value and help the cash flows for sellers.
Absolutely. This is just a little bit just about the export fees. So we collate all of this, and this is important to any sellers who are obviously moving their goods out of the US into the UK. So depending on the total value of the shipment, you'll fall into different categories in terms of the exports entry. So for any shipments which leave the country which are less than 2,500 USD, then the export fee will be $42. If they are above 2,500 USD, that fee will be $90. And then from an import side of things, once the goods arrive into the UK, the fee is $78 with an additional $42 handling fee, and then $6 per HS code after the first 3. So if you're moving in 5 different products, the first 3 HS codes will be free, and then the other 2 you would then pay $6 per HS code. So if you're only moving in, a small amount of stock, or if you're moving in all 10,000 units of the same thing, then it will be free. But the more variation of stock that you bring in, the more that you end up paying because of the HS codes. So hopefully that makes sense as well. Right, aligned. Now, this is just a very brief run through of the steps that you need to take in terms of getting registered. So expanding into the UK, step 1, register for VAT in the UK. Step 2, register for an EORI number for the customs procedures. Step 3, ensure that your products are compliant with UK labelling standards and EPR regulations so that you don't have to get Shashank last minute to help you out by moving all of your stock into a bonded warehouse in New Jersey. Step 4, we at Avask, along with shipment, we will be fully prepared to support your shipping needs. So based on the software that you've got there, you'll be able to track exactly where it is on the ocean at that time. And then step 5 will be, remain compliant once you are registered and once you are selling into the UK as well. So we'll handle all of the paperwork for you. We'll focus on growing your business. And we'll also do consultations as well. So if we think that your product is going to be a very good fit for some European markets, then we'll also sit down and we'll go through consultations with our clients as well, and we can suggest new markets for you to potentially move into. So we get a lot of people, once they've mastered the US and once they've conquered the UK, they'll then look to new horizons. Where is my product going to be good? Where is it going to be good next? Is it going to sell really well in France? Is it going to be ridiculously popular in Germany? Do I want to go further afield, or do I want to expand into Australia, Japan, South Korea? The possibilities are pretty much endless. So this is why we're here, just to talk about what the next steps would be for each person's business. And I'll leave it on this slide for a couple of minutes, just in case anybody who is watching wants to scan any of these QR codes. So there's a couple of different codes that you can scan on the screen there. You've got shipment, their contact details there. You've got Ravati and Shashank, and you've also got questions about onboarding. If you just want to get registered with VAT, that's the top one for Avask. And then if you want to, if you've got any more questions specifically about shipments, then that will be the second QR code. So I'll leave it on that just for a quick second until, we'll just leave it there. But the next slide as well, we'll be talking about Q&As, I believe. Yeah, exactly right. So now some time. Meenakshi, you still there?
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, just wanted to see if you've got anything else that you wanted to add from your side of things, from Amazon's side, how you think we can all work together a little bit closer, any sort of added value that you think I've not already touched upon or Shashank's already touched upon. Please let us know.
Yeah, I think you've covered, both of you. Thank you. First of all, thank you for covering almost all the points. The only thing I would add here is, if a seller wants to reach out to us at Amazon, especially for cross-border programs, I've pasted the email ID in the chat, and I've also pasted the link where we have designated account managers who can answer their questions as well and try to make them understand the Amazon sides of things. So I've pasted that in the chat for everyone. You can have a look from there, and I will give the floor to Bala to answer anything specific in terms of expansion from US marketplaces to UK. Yep.
Nice. Well, I can see there's been a few questions that have already been asked and answered within the chat just while we've been talking as well, so that's great. But yeah, if there are any other questions that anybody wanted to throw at us at this point, then now is your chance. Can you guys also see the comment section, the chat section on there as well?
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm going to assume that the fact that there's no other questions that need answering, that we've done a very good job of explaining everything it is that we needed to talk about.
Yeah. But Meenakshi and maybe Bala, would you want, actually, since Shipment spoke more about transportation and Lewis spoke about compliance, would you guys want to just walk through the entire journey of global selling from Amazon's perspective? I'm sure folks who may not be able to make it would love to learn about that aspect.
Okay, so I'll start off by explaining very uber level of how we at Amazon have been working with Avast, especially in terms of the UK and EU marketplace expansion. And what we do is, so once the seller has signed up with our program and has completed all the compliance documentation, that is the VAT and EORI number, that is where, when we come into picture, we also, if a seller does not know how to go about it, we help them there also, and we kind of coordinate between Avask and the seller to get all of that facilitated. And once that is done and the seller wants to understand how they want to create the shipment and what the process would look like onto creating that shipment on the seller central portal, that is the Amazon's portal, where a seller creates their listings, send in their inventory, and we take them through all the points of selecting the inventory and how it should be packaged, what should be the labeling, how it should be placed. And right now we also have, for certain lanes, we have integrated custom compliance, so which makes it even more easier for our sellers in the UK and EU marketplaces to quickly fill out their custom compliance information, so it becomes more and more seamless, and there are less defects and rejections and missing inventory when we're actually cross bordering. And we try to provide tracking based on the carrier solution that they have chosen. So we provide both pre and post account management support there. And like Avask mentioned, that they provide consultation in terms of which particular products might do better in certain marketplaces. So our account managers can also help with these things. And we also help our sellers, let's say if there is a particular product which might have some restrictions or might have a compliance issue, so we also help sellers guide and educate in terms of what are the documents and how to procure them. So we do all of that. Yeah, I think I'll forward it to Bala if he has to add anything more. Yeah.
Teams that we're partnering with to enable this for sellers. One value I have seen interacting with a lot of sellers is, the fact that once your shipment into the UK is complete, for instance, you would need to provide your customs entry number to Amazon as some kind of compliance requirement in the UK. What I've seen with this is because Amazon is working closely with Avast and shipments, the flow of this information for sellers is pretty easy versus where we've seen other sellers who use, other providers struggle to provide this information. So I think on top of what basically Louis, Shashank, and Menaski have said, uh, it's quite a very good experience using this from start of shipment till we close the shipment for you as a seller. So if you have any question, please don't hesitate to reach out to the team. We're happy to talk to you and basically look forward to working together on this.
Plus one to that.
Oh, thanks, Bala.
So much for that.
Okay, I think maybe one question from me, and Shashank, you could just throw a bit of light here, at least for those who will be watching this video in absence. When we are talking about basically transit time between, when the shipment departs the US into the UK, what are we looking at here in terms of, and I ask this question because in my interaction with sellers who have tried to do ocean in the past, the experience for them has been not of 90 days, moving their shipment from US to the UK.
Got it. No, so as I thanks for the question, and just to define the supply chain, right? What we typically try to do is consolidate cargo at say our New Jersey facility and move the cargo as a container from New York to say Southampton or Felixstowe in the UK, and then Avask helps us to clear the cargo, and then we deliver the cargo in trucks. So I'll just break it down from port to door. Typically, port to port transit times would vary between 25 to 30 odd days on an average, depending on the ocean liner, but that's assumed to be the average TAT for port to port. Import clearance, of course, happens in real time as soon as the cargo reaches, or maybe a day before. We typically plan to deliver the cargo to the Amazon FC, which in this case would be BHX4, in between five to 7 days at max. So now what we do is we take the container, we take it to our UK facility, we strip it, we put it in trucks, we work with Amazon Freight there as well in some cases, and then we deliver the cargo. So our goal is to make sure that we're delivering shipments within 35 days, and the goal is, and Amazon will of course is keeping us honest here, to keep driving process improvements to reduce this. So goal is to make sure that we're delivering your inventory port to door within 35 odd days. I think that's the goal that we want to take as we deliver the cargo to the Amazon.
I mean, thanks so much, Shashank, for that. And that is a very important point, right? Because in my interaction with sellers who basically are, sending their shipments from US to the UK in the past, experience has shown that they're doing anything north of 90 days. So, like Sashank has said, if we're working together with Avask and shipments, and that focus is being placed on their area of strength, and this is being transformed into a better transit time versus what is out there, then I would say the value on top of what has already been described is really high for you as a seller. As we approach, peak in July, it will be interesting, to have some of you sellers on board on this and see basically the value you're able to generate from this. And we're really excited as Amazon to be working with Avask, and shipments on this, and we look forward to having you.
We feel good about it as well, by the way. I think as well, one of the key things is just being able to, and this is a compliment really to Shipment. I think it's so important that sellers have got an option where they can consolidate shipping, because that's one of the key things that we hear a lot from sellers, that find it really difficult to find solutions in the market whereby, they've got a product, they're ready to move it, but then they get to the point where they're looking at shipment options and they can't find anybody who is willing to consolidate, and maybe they're not at the scale where they can move a whole container load over to the UK themselves. So maybe they only want to move a couple of pallets or a couple of boxes. Maybe they just want to test the market. Maybe they haven't got tens of thousands of dollars to throw into potential stock to move into the UK for it to then maybe not do that well. So it's a good way, a really, really strong option for anybody who is just first getting involved with these new markets. They just want to dip their toe into expanding internationally. The product's doing really well in the US, and they think the next option is to go to the UK, and the next option is the UK because the language is very similar, the buying trends are very similar, customer behavior is very similar, so it makes a lot of sense for them. But maybe they don't want to go all in and send full shipments load themselves. So I think in this regard, an option like Shipment is perfect, because it gives you the option where you can send smaller amounts of stock, consolidate it with other sellers who are doing exactly the same thing, and then you can benefit from the fact that you've all sent your goods together on one container and reap the rewards from that, really.
That's a good point, Lewis, because what we also hear is when sellers are unable to find this kind of solution you've described, what they are stuck with using is the air option, which is super expensive for them.
Yeah.
But then the reason at the core why we're doing this today is basically to, provide sellers this option where they can send LTL regardless of, how much they want to send at a cost effective way, right? Without necessarily being tied to just one mode of shipment, which is air and which is expensive.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Yeah.
I think definitely with this solution available right now, we are at that time where agreed that sellers can test out the market, and we are at that time that we are approaching peak, and right now is the time. If sellers use this, they would be right in stock, and you can have a small test and see how your products behave in the expansion marketplace. And when the holiday season come in, you actually have a strategy and you can plan much more in advance to send in your inventory and make it sellable for the expansion marketplaces, and really, really reap the benefits of doing cross-border trade. Yeah.
Nice, thank you for the input. Okay, guys, what do we want to do from here? So we've answered all the questions that we've got. I think personally we've got to a good point where we've summarized pretty much everything, unless there's something else that you want to bring up at this point.
No, on my side, I think we've touched on all the points, and for us, it would then be looking at basically working with sellers who have joined this call today or who would watch this video later on to onboard on the program and try it out.
Yeah. I think, again, let's go back just to this one. For anybody who did miss it out before, I'm going to take the reins and say that we should probably wrap up at this point if there aren't any other questions that we want to, that need to get answered. But as we say, the contact details are on the screen there. So you can reach Shashank, you can reach myself, and then how would we get in contact with Amazon, you guys, if there is anything that you wanted to
Yeah,
go on?
I'll just paste the email ID and the link, a form
Yeah.
link that the sellers can use and contact us. Just let me paste that again in the chat box.
Nice. Thank you very much. If you do that, I should then be able to make it available so we can see that on screen. Oh, I can see it here, man, actually. There you go.
Yeah.
So Amazon email c2s2-customer-service@amazon.com. So if you need to get in contact with Meenakshi, you can do on that one. You can also use Shipment's contact email addresses, which are on the screen as well. And then you've got two different ones for Avask also. Perfect. Any closing comments from you guys, or should we all just wrap it up? And I can appreciate that you guys have got a bit of a time difference to us as well. It's 4:47 in the UK. You guys have stayed up late for this one, so we appreciate that as well.
Thank you. So I've also pasted the link which sellers can use, and through filling this form, the Amazon account managers will directly reach out to them and schedule it basis on the seller's availability, and happy to answer any question in terms of expansion and cross-border trade. Yeah.
Nice. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you all for attending, no matter what time zone that you attended from. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and all of that stuff. And then if you are watching this after the fact, then I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you found some insightful information in what we've been talking about. I think there's a lot of synergy between our three businesses. So yeah, it's very very beneficial from a seller's point of view that there is a full end-to-end service. You don't need to go anywhere else. You can just speak to Amazon, you can speak to Avask, you can speak to Shipment. We all talk to one another anyway. It makes perfect sense. And with that being said, thank you guys for attending, and I'm sure I'll speak to you all soon.
Thank you, Lewis. Thank you, Shashank. Have a great day.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.
Goodbye.